Good morning, everybody, and welcome, one and all. The sun is shining, the sun is out, it's blue skies, and I hope it's blue skies wherever you are. Welcome to this wonderful, amazing episode of In the Spotlight. And wow, have I got a treat for you today. Can I just say first, thank you to everybody who has continued to subscribe, continue to follow, and continue to comment on my episodes. Love all your comments, love all your subscriptions, and love all your following. So thank you for that. You don't want to miss today's episode though, because if you've not already subscribed and followed, please do so in the links underneath the show notes, which is wonderful. You don't want to miss today. The person I have in front of me today is an absolute amazing human being. She is a founder. She is the master of vibe, ladies and gentlemen. She is a solopreneur. She is a kick-ass, badass businesswoman. And it's my honor, privilege, and delight to have on my show today Miss Bonnie Marshall. Bonnie, good morning and welcome to In the Spotlight. How are you this beautiful day?
Good morning, Seamus. Thank you so much for wow, what an introduction. I was thinking, who are you going to be bringing up? Oh God, that was incredible.
It's you, Bonnie. It's you. It's all you.
Oh gosh, that was amazing. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to be here. It's wonderful to be alive, and it's a wonderful day.
Amen. So, Bonnie, I know a little bit about you because, and I'm going to shout out Albert and Rudy here from the Founders Network. I want to praise Albert and Rudy for what they've done in establishing one of the most fastest growing online networking platforms ever, the Founders Network, currently sitting at 109 members at the moment and growing on a weekly basis. So if you've not already connected to an online network, please connect to the online network today, because you meet amazing people like Bonnie Marshall and others. Bonnie, so we met on that network, and we had some initial conversations. But for those who do not know you, Bonnie Marshall, here's your chance to tell the world who Bonnie Marshall is. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Seamus. I actually prefer talking about other people, but here we go.
I know that.
In a positive way. So, excuse me. So, my name is Bonnie Marshall, and my clients call me the Vibe Coach. In effect, what I actually do is I'm a facilitator. So I help my clients they move from pain to pleasure. So we help them I say we, my business partner is the creator, all that is. And we work together and we help our clients really sift and clear and cleanse everything that is interfering with their vibration and creating a resistance to what they actually want. So we consciously say what we want, but that's not necessarily what we're emanating through our vibration, through our frequency, through our energy. And so we clear that up so that there's a clear path to what they do want. So we elevate that so that it becomes a vibrational match with what they actually really want and what they're saying they want, and create that on a subconscious level.
Wow. So are you like a human tuner?
Yeah, well, I've never heard that phrase before, but you could say that, yeah. So we teach them to tune their frequency to what they want to attract. Everything emanates a vibration, and it's like magnets. It's about attracting that thing that you want.
Yeah.
If there's no vibrational match, it won't attract.
Wow. Is that the kind of fundamental law of the universe then, do you think, Bonnie? Is that the secret? Is that the secret sauce?
The secret was kept out. The secret. It is the fundamental. It is the fundamental. What we think in our hearts, and Bible talks about this, doesn't it, Seamus? What we think in our hearts, so shall we be. And there's a lot of secrets in that book. There's a lot of secrets in that book that are, we're taught maybe are just parables or analogies or metaphors. They're the secrets.
Wow. Okay, I need to unpick some of that. You've mentioned two hot words from the Bible that we can get into. And obviously, you know my background, Bonnie, so we'll get into some of that in a wee minute. But for those, you know, for those who don't know you, Bonnie, how did you come to this business? How did it happen for you?
Well, I mean, that's excuse me, it's a powerful question. It took a
It is.
while. It took a
Yeah.
while. It wasn't a straight road by any means, and I always knew I wanted to be in business. I always knew I wanted to have my own business from a young child.
Hmm.
I was never really that little girl that dreamed of having her wedding, but I knew I wanted my business. So that was always there in the background, and everything that I did, I somehow subconsciously knew it would contribute to whatever I'm here to do. Fundamentally, what happened was I had a business mentor many years ago, and through a series of, and I was working in retail, so my background is retail. So, and I loved my career. I did it with love. Not every day was joyful. I'm not going to say that. I understood that, I always did everything with love. My mum and my dad, I'm so blessed to have had them as my parents. They were both really incredible guides. My dad was my first mindset mentor, and my mum really taught me, you've probably heard this, Seamus, where if you're going to do something, do it properly.
Yeah.
Properly to my mum meant to do it with love. So,
Yeah.
I've always done things with love. And if I ever felt like that was slipping or that wasn't there anymore, I would rethink where I'm at. So,
So
but
that was very much a guide for you to do it with love.
yeah,
That was your compass.
that was like the pillar.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I still loved my career, but I knew now was the time that I needed to transition. But I'd been 20 years in retail. I started to think about, well, what can I do? Can I do anything else? I wasn't really sure that I could. So fast forward, I went into my own business, and I had a property estate agency business. It was a little bespoke estate agency, and I had a client, and I was driving a lot, and I became the sandwich in a car accident. And that's really what set me on my path, because my back, I didn't break anything, but I had muscle damage and my back wouldn't heal. And a friend had said to me, have you tried theta healing? Theta or theta, depending on how you pronounce it. And I'd already heard that terminology because I'd had a spiritual facilitator years before. And so I was like, oh, I will give that a go. Hopped on a webinar, and I thought I was purchasing a course of treatment. I, in fact, purchased the course to become the facilitator, which only became aware to me on the first day when I went, to get my back healed.
Yeah.
Um, so that's how I actually became, I qualified as a theta healing practitioner. I'm advanced, so level 3 intuitive anatomy, which means I can scan people's energetic body and see what's going on. And I only do it with permission. And I'm also an Akashic Records consultant as well.
Okay.
But the creator gifted me my own modality, which is what I share with my clients also.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Isn't it amazing how the universe works, right? I mean, obviously, you would have you would have probably preferred an easier introduction uh, to the world of vibrational healing, but sometimes I always have the saying, Bonnie, that sometimes the universe will whisper, and we have a choice to make always whether we hear the whisper and act on the whisper. But if we don't act on the whisper, that whisper will slowly get louder and louder and louder until eventually we get to a point in our lives where the universe will walk straight into our front room and go, okay, this is where you are now, right? And I presume that that's what happened to you, yeah?
Oh gosh, definitely, definitely, Seamus. There were whispers around, but the thing is when you don't know where you're meant to go, or you don't know what the next step is, you tend not to trust the process.
Yeah.
And I have trusted the process before in the past. So that's how I decided to leave retail initially. I trusted the process, but I became fearful. And so I went back into retail.
Yeah.
And the universe showed me three times, you need to leave. Um, and so when you don't listen, the universe takes you out. The universe literally physically moves you out
Yeah.
of the environment. And I thought at that time that property was the thing. I really did, and when I had my business mentor years before, it's so funny because I was thinking of different businesses, and I would create things, and in the background, I was consulting my angel cards, and my angel cards would say, "You need to hone your skill. You need to practice your psychic abilities. You need." And I was saying to them, "Yeah, yeah, I get that. But what about the business?"
Yeah.
And it was never clear to me at that time because we go through such a conditioning when we grow up.
Mm.
I didn't even realize that it could be the business. I didn't even realize, even though I'm holding a pack of angel cards, which have been printed, which have been distributed, which has bought by me, right? It's a business. I didn't see that is a business. I didn't see that healing, that energy work was a business. I was still thinking from programming and conditioning that, it was a consultancy of some shape or form. And I do consult, but it's in energetics, right? So it's just hilarious that, you see what you want to see.
Yeah, it's funny that, and sometimes something is right in front of us, literally in our hands, and we don't fully appreciate what we got until we get that little prompt, that little push, that little shove,
Yeah.
or in your case, that big impact, which stops us in our tracks and which helps us then in the fullness of time to realign our mission and vision and go, ah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It's super powerful. I mean, if you tap into universal consciousness and universal energy on a daily basis, it's just, it's endless, right? It's endless. It's like we just have to plug ourselves in every single day, but it's how to plug ourselves in, and how
Mm.
and how to remain plugged in is probably where you come into your own in terms of your business, right? Because
Yeah.
because I sense in our world today there's a huge disconnect. There's a huge disconnect. Are we disconnected with ourselves, Bonnie? Are we disconnected from our true mission, vision, and purpose? And I know that's a huge question. Huge question. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to lay that on you, but that's what I was thinking this morning. On the way around, are we, the more technologically advanced we get, the more forward thinking we get, is that bringing us closer or further away from our mission and vision and purpose?
That's That's a fully loaded question, Seamus. We would definitely need more than an hour just to unpack that one question. But I
Hmm.
think um, really, if you look at the surface of it,
Yeah,
we because we actually are connected. We actually are connected,
yeah,
right? Fundamentally, we are connected. However, there are many things purposefully, which I won't go into, that have been created to distract the connection,
okay,
to distract the connection. So if we really focus, and there's nothing wrong with those things, there's nothing wrong with the mod cons, the gadgets, the tech that we have,
yeah,
as long as we don't allow it to use us and we keep it as the tool that we use.
okay,
Because society is becoming involved with allowing that to consume them.
yeah,
So in retail, I used to say this to my team, and they'd be like, "What do you mean, Bonnie?" And I would say, we'd have certain promotions, sales, things like that. And I would watch people, and we had amazing customers and client base, but you watch sometimes the masses come in and go crazy, literally go crazy. And I would say to my team, the consumer will eventually be consumed. And it's the same thing with all the tech that we have. There is nothing more powerful than our brain. There isn't. But all this distraction doesn't allow us to tap into that power. And so we're constantly seeking. And that's part of the journey, by the way, which is a wonderful thing, because we're seeking that which we know we have access to. The power that we hold within ourselves is incredible. I too haven't even tapped into my true potential.
Yeah.
And so the power that we have within is so immense, but we get distracted because it's part of the conditioning again, which has been put there for a reason. But we have been conditioned to look at another. What have they got? You have that phrase, keeping up with the Joneses. I never forget when I first went to my property mentorship, and they said, "You're all keeping up with the Joneses, but nobody realizes that the Joneses are broke."
Yeah,
Because they've
that's so
taken out
true.
X amount of loans to buy the house, the car, the holidays, and what have you. So that really shifted my mindset around that. And so we're constantly distracted with, they've got this, where am I? And so we compare ourselves to another based on external values, based on not external values, but based on external things that are valued at a certain monetary level.
Yeah.
And then we presume that that equates that we are either worthy or not worthy of certain things. So we then get distracted of going out to work and acquiring more money just to buy something to show to someone else that we really don't care about. Well, I've got this. So fundamentally, we become involved in the rat race to give the one precious commodity that we can never ever get back, which is time, just to prove to someone else that we're either equal or greater than. And we are our best working project. And if we remember that all the external, it is nice. Like, I love to have beautiful things. I love to have, you know, really pretty, aesthetically pleasing things. I love that, right? I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but it's also to remember the fundamentals of life.
Yeah.
And I do think, and some people won't agree with me, especially in the energetic world. Money is important. They don't like that, but money is important. It's the exchange rate we have co-created in this realm for this lifetime. So money is necessary, and I study every day. And there's a book that I study every day, and I studied 3 particular chapters in a specific order that was directed by Mr. Bob Proctor, God rest his soul, an amazing facilitator.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of the book, it says that it is important to generate wealth because it allows us to expand mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, mind, body, and soul. And those are the 3 aspects. And without money, we can't do that fully. We can't do that fully. So I'm an advocate of that. I'm an advocate to generate as much wealth as you possibly can so that you can experience that we came to experience. If we are not generating that money, we are not experiencing the most that we can experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so everything that I do is for living an enriched life. So that's we release, remove, and clear any blocks, interference on the mental and emotional scale, or as I like to call them, bodies.
Yeah.
And that then helps to release, remove, and clear any blockages in spiritual, in the physical, and in the financial as well.
Okay. And that then in turn, uh, uh, as it were, a pipeline taps you into the pipeline, and your energy flows naturally to your mission, vision, purpose, and can I say it, to your personal divinity. That's where you find yourself, right?
Yeah, because the tuning in, we so the tuning is important because we're already tuned in, is to get rid of the distractions, but to remember that we are fundamentally, we are a harmony of different bodies. The mental body, the spiritual body, the emotional body, and the physical body is needed here. So we can't constantly be, there is nothing better, by the way, than to tune in or tune up, right, and sit with that presence, because there is such a level of peace, of just all beingness, that you can't get here in physical body if you are distracted. The skill is to have that while you move in this physical body here on earth. That's the practice, and to enjoy it no matter what. But it's also to remember that we're not here just in a physical body. We are a spirit, we are a soul. As I've told you, Seamus, I look at everything through my soul shoes. I like to put on my soul shoes and see, use that perspective, because the ego can get involved, and say, okay, if I was to look at this from my soul perspective, what is the truth here?
Yeah.
Right? What is this giving? And so you need to harmonize all of them, all elements. It's no good just living in the mental and being, mentally involved in life, because then you're negating or ignoring the emotional side of life. It's no good to be only in the emotional and not think logically, right? And we're living in this physical body. We are connected to something. It doesn't really matter what we want to call that energy, but that energy is infinite. It's infinite, it's divine, and it is all knowing. Whatever people want to call it, like when I teach clients, I do say, it doesn't matter whether you want to call it God, Allah, Yahweh, Buddha, it doesn't really matter to me. I call it source energy, and I
Mm.
do call it God, but
Mm.
it's not the God that I was taught in school. It's not
Yeah.
judgmental God. It's a very loving, embracing, and it wants to give you everything that you want. But we have been given free will. So even if we want the best, but we're focused on the negative, that's sending out a transmission. It will say yes because we have the free will. And so that's what we get. And so the focus is really around, what are you focusing on?
Absolutely. And we have a choice to make every single day, don't we?
100%.
Yeah, we have a choice to make. We have a responsibility to make the right choice based on all the information that's available to us at that particular moment in time, right? I know from my own life and my own experience, I could have chosen one of many different paths in my life, but I chose the path of probably uh, one which has brought me the most joy and the most peace and the most happiness and the most fulfillment. And that's, see, I see that as my mission, vision, and purpose. But I also see that it doesn't stop there once you make the choice, because you need to continue to embed and imbue that choice in every aspect of your life going forward, right? It's not, you're right. I think it's not just the mental, it's not just the physical, it's not just the emotional, it's not just the spiritual, but actually it's all those elements combined together in the physical that makes the difference, right? That allows you to have that vehicle to achieve the life that you want to achieve.
Yeah, 100%, Seamus. And I think you've said something really powerful there. The choice, it's a constant. We have to keep choosing. We
Yeah.
don't, and I make this mistake myself, like, oh, if I do this the one time, I'm done. Like, no, you really
No, you're not.
not.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
constant. It's constant. So it's to remember that just because you've put yourself on this path, you still have to walk it. You're not going to get to your destination if you don't take any steps forward.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to be basically stuck in the mud, right?
Right, and that's nowhere to be.
No,
Nowhere
and
to
and Bonnie, having released energy, you'll be equally conscious of where the blocks are, right? And where as human beings do we put up our own blocks? Are they created by us? Are they external? Are they experienced? Are they traumatic? Are they historic? Are they developed in this life, or let's take it a step further. Are there also historically linked to past lives that we might have had? How far back do the blocks go, Bonnie?
That's a great question. So it's all.
I'm
It's
on fire. I'm on
so
fire today, boy.
you
I
are
am
on fire
I am
today.
on fire, man. I'm on fire today.
I feel like this is Source, having conversation with Source. So they're created through all of that.
Yeah,
So if people want to, if your viewers that are watching or listening, if they believe in past life,
yeah,
or they believe that we are souls having this human experience, there are things that we carry energetically through from previous lifetimes that may have not been resolved, or we may have carried it because purposely we need to have it and experience it in this lifetime, so that we now know with the consciousness level on a soul, through the soul's own growth and development, it can process that here
yeah.
and now. So there's that. We also have things where we create the blocks from, primarily they will come from our childhood. So from the years 0 to 7, it's almost like we're open, we're completely open. Everything and everyone around us is amazing because we don't have the conscious ability to reject yet, really, typically, of things that we're told. So from parents, from elders in the community, or even within the extended family, from our teachers, and sometimes from our peers, peers that we may look up to. Um, if we go through something and that creates an emotional impact, usually we tend to lock it in the body if it's negative.
Mm.
So, as an example, I haven't ever shared this publicly before, but as an example, I have a distinct memory. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm about to share this. I love to do art. My family are very artistic. My parents were very artistic. So I remember one evening I was drawing and I was super pleased with it. And I took it to my dad. Now my dad and I have an amazing relationship. Even though he lives on the other side of the invisible curtain, we still have an amazing relationship. So I took it to my dad just to show him. And at that time, he was watching the news. And all he said to me was something along the lines of, "Not now, baby. I'm watching the news." Something along that. He never said, like, "Don't show it me," or not an aggressive voice or a rejecting voice. But in that moment, I made it that my work wasn't good enough. Now, I only know that from going back. As a child, I wasn't aware of that. What that created in me was a pattern of behavior to deliver good work. If not, I would keep going until it was really good. So it created a really good work ethic in me and to deliver good quality work. But it was coming from a place of, I'm not good enough. This is what I found out when I started to tune in my later years. So
Oh,
it doesn't have to be a hugely traumatic experience. It can just be something that we interpret as it being so. And so what we then do is we clear that emotional hook, if you like, that anchor that keeps us locked into a lower thinking or lower vibrational um, programming, and we replace it with a more empowering one. So there's always a benefit from everything that we go through. So I was able to see the benefit was it's created great work ethic. It's created a really solid, like my attention to detail is really good. So it's
mm,
created that now I can let go of this thing that I created, this belief I created that's actually not true. So we take the client back to look at it with the conscious level that they have now, this consciousness that they hold now within themselves in present day. And you're able to look back and go, but that's not really what happened. No, okay, perfect. So what did you gain? And now are you ready to let go?
yeah,
And now that you've let go, what belief would you now like to replace it with?
yeah,
And so those blocks, those interference patterns are usually created from your childhood. It can be older than that. So it can be on your peers. you know, your peer imprinting period where you're hanging out, you know, it's their impressionable adolescence period. You want to impress, you want to be in the gang, you know, in the club, you know, the cool people. I was never one of the cool people. I was in the cool club, but I was never really cool, myself particularly. And then it's just releasing, removing, and clearing anything that no longer serves you,
Yeah.
but you're still carrying. So it's like having a suitcase, your favorite suitcase, and you're going on holiday. I don't know, say as an example, you're going skiing, but you've packed your bikini and you really don't need it. It's not going to serve you on that holiday. You're not going to go and sunbathe
Yeah.
skiing. And it's getting rid of the things that you really don't need anymore.
I like that. I like that analogy. The suitcase analogy is really
Yeah.
good. And but you no doubt that in leaving your bikini behind, you would take a pair of gloves, or you would take, something that will serve you better, that will fulfill that function of where you're going. So and this is fascinating. I could spend all day talking to you, Bonnie, and I know we've only 15 minutes left, but is the thing then we need to be aware of where we're going in order to pack the things that we need to live our best life.
That's another great question.
Oh yeah.
You,
It's the top 10.
there's solid, there's solid.
Bonnie, I'm on the top 10 today. Fantastic.
Oh my God, there's solid questions. There's solid questions. So as you know, Seamus,
Yeah.
without a vision, the people perish,
Yeah.
right? So it's important to have a vision.
Yeah.
Important to have a vision because otherwise, Seamus, we're just wandering around aimlessly, here, there, everywhere, with no focus, no goal, no mission. People call it, mission sounds heavy, but it's a joy. When you're in your mission, when you're in your purpose, your dharma, when you're doing what you're called to do, when you're doing what you were put on the planet to do,
It's a joy.
it's a joy.
Yeah.
And people will look at us and say, are you still working? It's like, no, I'm living my joy. Like, I'm living my joy. This is not work. This is not the work that you would deem, if when they find their thing and do it, they're going to want to do it, 16, 18 hours a day. But that's not that we're doing it every minute of the day. Every interaction, for me, this interaction is part of my work. It's part of my mission. Yesterday I went and upgraded my phone, part of my mission. Why? Because I interacted with the people there and shared some things, and they were like, wow, it's that's the work. I really believe that the work, whatever your ministry may be, right? We're all doing the work if we're focused on, if we're
Yeah.
coming from the purpose aspect, if we're in alignment with the true self and what we're here to do. So with regards to, I can't even remember what you asked me now, but that is the answer.
Yeah. To have a vision.
To have a vision, it's
To have
important because it keeps, and the vision may change and morph, because I like to say to my clients, because they're like, oh, but I don't know everything. We're not going to know everything. Even when we have a massive vision, it's still one piece of the puzzle. Creator knows all of it. Universe has every part that is beyond our comprehension. We would never, no matter how much our consciousness level expands, even when we think we've tapped into the infinite mind, the brain cannot hold all that information, right? So we process what we can
at that
for
time.
ourselves and for those that we're here to serve at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to share with you a story, Bonnie. And I haven't really shared this publicly before, but when I turned 40, I did a fire walk.
Amazing.
Something I always wanted to do. Now, the purpose in doing the fire walk was to raise money and for charity, for a charity close to my heart. For a family who were really suffering, who wanted to do something, give something back. So, our plan, my vision was to raise some money. So what could I do to raise money? and do something different, to do something I've never done before, and that was to do a firewalk. And for those of you who do not know what a firewalk is, it's pretty much as it says on the tin. You got a pile of logs that are set on fire and then left to burn down, and then they're flattened out. And then at a particular strategic point in the evening, you walk across them barefooted. Now, psychology, the physics of this thing would tell us that if you walk barefooted on any hot material, you're going to get burnt, right? You're going to get you're going to get barbecued. You're going to get sizzled. You just need to put your finger on a barbecue, when it's cooking to recognize how painful that experience is. So you can imagine, dear listeners, when I appeared barefoot in this field of an evening to do this firework in front of this wonderful, glorious group of people, and something magical happened. And it was something my facilitator said, the master firewalk facilitator. She said, "If you're ready, walk. If you're not ready, don't walk." So, in order to prepare for the readiness of that walk, we were almost put through a 2 hour program previously of changing our mindset, creating a mindset, instilling that self-belief, instilling that self-confidence that we were able to do this. But I kid you not, I kid you not. As I stood before the hot embers that were still blazing, um, I have, and I don't want to be too descriptive here, but I have some hair on my legs that began to small, smaller there. So in the words of our American cousin, it was damn hot. It was damn hot. But I was ready to walk, and walked I did right across the hot embers. I actually stood in the middle of the fire and felt the heat of the fire, but knew within my heart, soul, mind, and body that I was absolutely going to be absolutely fine because the universe heard me. And I walked the other side, towards the other side. I actually ran backward and forward and jumped in it for a couple of times just to make sure I didn't, that was happening. But there are some tribes in Africa who use this as a rite of passage. And I felt a sense of rite of passage because I felt after that night something happened, something magically happened. My mindset completely changed. I was filled with this new joy, this new energy, this new sense of purpose. Because my body, my mind, my spirit, my soul, everything said that if you can do this, what else? What else? What else can you do?
I love that. I love that, Seamus. And that's tapping in, because that's the infiniteness within us, right? And it shows you, and that's a really good exercise, by the way, because it shows how the physical, the mental, the spiritual, and the emotional come together and unite
Yeah,
in that one ceremony, if you like.
it was. Bonnie, it was my rite of passage.
Yeah.
Uh, it was my invitation to the universe to say, okay, I need you to walk from here over to here. The only exception is through maybe a hot path of coals, but you'll be absolutely fine. You've got this. You've actually got it solid. You can see the finish line already. And yeah, and it was one of the most powerful, powerful things I've ever done. No, I wouldn't recommend it to everybody, and I would say that obviously, please only do it under the strictest of supervision, under controlled conditions with the right people in front of you. Please, no, don't go away today and burn a set of logs and walk in this evening, because that's not the way. There is a process, there is a plan, there is a program, there is a process that you need to follow, and it's under very strict guidelines. So, that's my public liability insurance covered in terms of my statement. So please don't do that. But the point I'm making is I think when we are fixed in terms of our vision, when we are fixed in terms of our mission, our spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical energy all aligns to create that perfect moment, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. That's what I'm talking about, Seamus. It's the coming together. That's the alignment.
Yeah.
That's the locking in. That's the as you said, the tuning. That's the tuning. So it doesn't have to be walking over hot coals
No,
or
it doesn't have to be.
embers, right? Or I did a thing where where you break the arrow with the delicate part of your throat, right? You break the yeah. So it doesn't have to be extreme things like that.
No.
Sometimes it can just be doing that, stepping out of your comfort zone. If people are in sales and it's their first sales job, or they're becoming, they've moved into their own business, people don't realize they're also their sales engine in the beginning. They're also their own sales engine. We have these ideas of like, oh, I'm going to make my own business. Oh, you self-employed yourself, basically, is what you've done. And
Yeah.
you are the everything. You are the marketing department. You are the sales department. You are, the everything as well as delivering. And so it could be. And I share that because when I first went into business, it was picking up the phone. And the funny thing is that when I first did my calls, I used to dial the number and go to click the green button to dial. And I would hit the phone so fast that it wouldn't dial. And I remember saying, oh, must be maybe the universe doesn't want me to call them. Right, because otherwise it would have dialed the number, and then
Yeah.
and then you have to catch yourself and be like, I was like, okay, Bonnie Marshall, that's not the truth here, is it? And
No.
so I pressed that green button purposefully, and then it dialed, and then it rang, and then someone picked, and as it was ringing, I was like, oh my God, it's actually calling. Well, of course, that's what phones do.
Mm.
And then someone picked up, and as they picked up, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to say? And that's the stretch. So it's bringing that whole mental, emotional, because that's an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
You're not going to die from the other person picking up the phone or from you dialing, but that in itself, there's emotional roller coaster, there's a psychological roller coaster. The physiology gets all heated, as you're going through that. But spirit comes in, and somehow you speak.
Absolutely. 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 Bonnie, we only have a couple of minutes left. Believe it or not, you've done absolutely brilliantly today. And can I say, no coughing once, which is wonderful. Universe, the universe had your back. The universe had your back. Um,
Always.
and I suppose going forward, Bonnie, if somebody's listening to this today and is interested in finding out more about increasing their vibe or attracting what they want or getting in alignment with their own mission, vision, value, and purpose. What's the next steps? What's the next steps? What do they need to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first of
Thank
all,
you.
it may not, whomever, okay, it may not be me, and that's the thing, Seamus. It's once they have that inkling that this is something that they want to delve into a little bit more, maybe ask a couple of more questions, but also know what they want inside, or have that questioning inside of this resonates in some shape or form. Because sometimes with energy we can't put our finger on it, but there's something about it. There's something within what has been said, within what has been seen, that resonates within. That's their soul pointing them in the right direction. Like me thinking I was buying a course of treatment when I
Love
was
that.
really,
I love that.
signing up.
I love that. I think the universe has a magic sense of humor, right? It was like, okay,
Oh my God, so
she
funny.
thinks she thinks she's buying a course here, but she's actually buying the whole package. Yeah, I love
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. And then when you do have those conversations, understand that also when I was in that room, in my head, I was like, no, but I haven't come to be the healer. I've come to be healed, right? But still, my soul kept me in that seat, and to understand when to listen and when to move, when to sit still, when to move. But to come back to your question, reach out to the person that they resonate with. It's important that they resonate with that person because they're more likely to listen to the guidance. They're more likely to then take the action and do the work. And there is work, Seamus. There is work that needs to be done. And the hardest work is the work on self, because sometimes we don't like the person in the mirror, or we don't like what's staring back at us from the mirror. But in order to create a better reflection, we have to go inside and do the work. Wow. So I would say for them to reach out, whether it be me or another facilitator, but whomever they resonate with, reach out and find out how to work with them. Do they have any tips and tools that can help them, initially, and take it from there, really.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Bonnie Marshall, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I know we've just slightly tipped the hem of the cloak of the surface of all this. I mean, I could literally speak to you the whole day. I absolutely could. I absolutely could. Where can people find you, Bonnie Marshall?
So they can find me on media. So Bonnie Marshall Coaching on Instagram, Bonnie Marshall on Facebook, and they can contact me via email at bonnie@harmonyhealer.co.uk.
Awesome. Bonnie Marshall, thank you ever so much for being on my show today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Where 2 or 3 people are gathered together, there am I in the midst of it. And I think I have absolute no doubt that the source was right in there, inspiring us both to be our best selves today. I can honestly say that I don't know where some of these questions came from, but they just came into my head as if the source itself was asking you these questions. So thank you, source. I really appreciate that. Bonnie Marshall, I wish you well. I wish you well with your business. I wish you well with your mission and vision. I wish you well in increasing the vibrancy level of this wonderful world of ours. And guys, if you've not already connected with Bonnie, reach out and connect with Bonnie today, because she's an absolute gold nugget. She is just one awesome human being. And I wish you well, Bonnie, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Seamus. It's been an absolute honour to share this time and space with you. Really appreciate you.
Thank you, Bonnie.